My name's Jackson Koeppel. I'm living in Highland Park, Michigan, which is a city inside of Detroit. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I'm working on a project there. So, about 4 years ago, I was in college in Ohio, and was learning a lot, these sort of very heavy and oftentimes really depressing realities about climate change and systemic, social oppression that were weighing pretty heavily on me at the time. Having a really hard time in school and really hard time personally, just sort of dealing with these things that were kind of too big for me. And while I was there, I had an opportunity to go down to Blair Mountain in West Virginia. And the reason people were coming down to Blair Mountain is because in the early 1900s, there was a protest there. 200 miners basically went to war with the coal companies for fair working rights. And it was, them and their dad's rifles against bomber planes. And they were forced to surrender, but it was a huge moment for workers' rights. Hugely historic event. And in the present day, there is a coal company threatening to mountaintop removal mine Blair Mountain. So we followed the path of those miners for 5 days and encountered totally intense resistance. There was a constant police presence, counter-protesters from the coal industry being videotaped by their supervisors, and so many layers of systemic oppression that was tied into the fossil fuel industry. And seeing this was totally eye-opening for me. It totally changed my perception of how deeply tied in social justice and climate change are, and I left just sort of knowing I had to do something about it. A year after the fact, I decided to take time off school, and I moved to the Detroit area. That was a year and a half ago, and now are really excited to be launching our website and really pushing out there the idea that is Solidarity, which is building a solidarity economy using solar technology as the tool to uplift the soul of the city we're in, which is called Highland Park, Michigan. And Highland Park is a 3 square mile city inside of Detroit. It was the site of Henry Ford's first manufacturing plant. It was incorporated separately in 1918, and this city has gone through a huge economic shock with the rise and fall of the automobile industry. It is an incredibly astounding place historically, but it has suffered from a huge lack of ownership of the things that made it run. And what that looks like right now is that 2/3 of the streetlights have been repossessed by the local utility because of $4 million of electrical debt and $60,000 monthly electrical bill owed to the utility. And our goal is to replace 200 of those lights with community-owned, solar-powered off-grid streetlights. And if we do this, it will not only mean that the streets will be lit, the citizens will directly control these lights. They will directly control the funds used for maintenance. They will have a say in what happens in their city. They will have leverage to actually affect the conversation around the development of their city, which is a huge... It changes the whole conversation of redevelopment. It keeps gentrification from happening, and being able to work on this for the last year and a half has allowed me to process what I saw in West Virginia, and to feel like I'm actually doing something that both directly targets the fossil fuel industry and directly creates new forms of participation and democracy that actually empower people to sort of take control of their lives.